Hello to everyone, guys. Yeah, Chris, we are ready. So, guys, a couple of minutes, just the time that everyone can join. Yeah, perfect. Thanks for the feedback. Some echo is normal. Sorry, I'm in a small room. A bit of echo is normal. So, I would love to start this live with a video portrait of David, and just after we can start. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap on
Okay, we are ready. Hey man,
What's up, man? How are you?
how are you?
Doing good. Thanks
Good,
for having
good,
me on.
also. I want to start with a sentence. We don't just shoot food, we build words and narratives around it. This is the perfect sense that describe you and your way to innovate in the food film niche. You are one of the most influential and authoritative director in the food niche. Yeah, a
Thank you, man.
legend. I'm reading now, a legend. So let's start talking about how you started. And guys, feel free to drop any question about this topic. I will check during the discussions and pin the most relevant, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, you can start. Tell more about your story.
Absolutely. I never went to film school. Always loved movies and filmmaking. And after about 6 years working in advertising, I left my job to shoot some short films. It was some short films that was self-financed. I didn't really know what a gaffer was. I had never been on a set before. And, I hit up my friend John and he helped me shoot these films. And then they went viral. So suddenly we had a lot of brands coming to us and people sharing our work. And that was kind of the short story of how I got to be a director. But I basically spent a lot of time shooting my own work, learning how food is shot and how it's styled and all the elements of that.
Okay, this is the last video you sent to me, where is a little reel of your latest work. Work for McDonald's, works for
Yeah,
Louis,
yeah.
the Journal, some
Yeah,
of
we
the stuff.
this is a
Yeah,
little summary clip of just some of the brands I work with, my team. A lot of this footage comes from Chris VTV, who I'm sure if anybody's on this, you guys all know who Chris VTV is. Should all follow him. And John Shafto, my director of photography. So we've got work for Lay's, McDonald's, and those are fun projects. But what I also really enjoy making, and I think is a crucial part of why we get these kinds of jobs, and because we create, interesting work. When you create the kind of work that you want to get paid to do, that
yeah,
work will come to you, but you have to invest a bit of your time, your resources, and your money to kind of create the aesthetic that you want to be known for as a filmmaker.
yeah. You mentioned Chris and you mentioned your DP. I want to do the same. A big shout out. You are guys part of the family of Filmmakersworld. I'm so proud and honored to have you today on the page. And 7th June, we will have also Chris in another one live chat here. So let's talking about teamwork. How is
Yeah,
important the right teamwork, the right people, and how right people can give you the energy and also the solution for your hours of work.
absolutely. With my team, there is never a rule of the ideas have to come from this person or the director or the DP. The way I run a lot of my teams, I have a very close group of collaborators that I work consistently with, and you guys can see on all my posts that I put up on Instagram, if you're ever interested in seeing who gaffed a certain project for us, who did the rigging, just look in the caption and you'll be able to find the names of those people. And I want you to reach out to those people. They're really good people who I trust. But to answer your question, you know, I was very careful about surrounding myself with people who knew a lot more about film than I did. And that was a very purposeful move because, you know, as someone who didn't go to film school, I needed to learn the nuances, how to carry myself on set and all those things. And I went to people with a lot of experience, but who were still young enough, who were not established, let's say that way, and who were kind of pushing to create amazing work. And when you find people who align with that mentality, they're inclined to do so much more work for you. They're inclined to bleed for you, to go further. And that's why I would urge that social media is it's been such a crucial part of my journey, because Chris V was somebody I met on Instagram. You know, my sound designer, Matt, like, we're always posting things together on Instagram. And those things are, you know, never be afraid to reach out and DM somebody to tell them you like their work in a genuine way, because I found friendships out of it and amazing collaborators.
Amazing. This is amazing because many people still today takes social media like for kids, like a video game, not a real place where you can find relationship and where you can find the right people for you. Because many people don't understand that through our vision, our work, we describe ourselves and show to the people what we are. Really.
Absolutely. And as a director, I'm making a lot of decisions. I'm setting the look, setting the aesthetic, setting our tone. But, you know, what we really, that all that look and all of those aesthetics come together because of the crews that I have around me. And in order to get everyone to do their part and to really enable people to feel control over their departments, you have to relinquish some of the control, but still maintain it at the same time to guide everyone to the right vision.
Absolutely. I'm doing
I see a couple good questions coming in.
The Iron Man, it's a bit cropped, but this is the video of Iron Man that start with Iron Man. I have to check the question. Is arriving a lot of questions. I prepared that question for you. Have you had a mentor, or is starting everything about you, yourself, your passion for cinema, also because you mixing cinema, film inspiration from iconic movies. Let's talking also about this.
Yeah, I had a mentor, and I have a mentor who I work with a lot. I would recommend that everybody finds a mentor, and it doesn't have to be somebody who devotes a lot of time, but just even someone like, I would have mentors who weren't even agreeing to be my mentor when I was trying to enter the film business. I would look at directors who are doing amazing things online, and not just that, but doing things differently than the category. Like, who's the director who shoots car commercials very differently? Who's the director who brings a different view to music videos? And that's what I wanted to do with food. I see one of the questions in here from Clara Kevrick. Why did you decide to specialize for filming food? And when I entered food about 3 years ago, there was only two subsects of food. On one end of the spectrum, you had very serious chef's table, you know, slow motion, Michelin star restaurants. And I felt like those were a bit removed because people couldn't connect with those. Then on the other end, you had your very utilitarian, functional recipe videos, the top-down, you know, hands and pans recipe videos that we see on Tastemade and BuzzFeed. And while those have an amazing place for cooks online, I felt like there was this one middle section that was missing for food. And that was building worlds around the food. So we weren't just shooting the bottle of water on the table. We were having an amazing world of art direction around it that told a bigger story than just drink this water bottle. And if you notice, in a lot of the commercial work that I do, I push my clients to strive to differentiate themselves in the food space, because there's so much food out there right now. You go online and type in food porn or food, and it's millions of posts, and they're all posts from my influencer friends like Stuff Ben Eats and Caitlin, Be Fat, Be Happy, who are always posting these amazing, gorgeous photos of food. So in order to stick out in that space, I felt that I wanted to try and bring a different level of polish and a little bit of a different level of aesthetic to what I considered a food photo or what I considered a food video.
Okay. I pinned that question. Did you get to create the concept to McDonald's and other ads, or did the
Yeah,
agency? Let's talking about the
yeah.
work process
So
from
Alex,
scratch
Alex,
to.
yeah, Alex, that's a really great question. It, to be honest, and that's my dog in the background there.
No problem. I have my kid in background. No problem.
Good. Um, you know, I think that it varies depending on the client. With McDonald's, we were very fortunate to get a client who was willing to do something very different than what we typically see in the US for McDonald's. In US McDonald's commercials, it's a lot of bite and smiles and close-ups of food. And with this McDonald's ad in Europe, that ran across Europe, I actually pushed to put some weirder things in there. You know, the creatives had written a beautiful script with a lot of, you know, things that were very catered to my style. And I was very excited when I got the script because I knew they wanted to do creative work. So we pushed to do this whole one take shot, which was a daunting take in itself. We had a grand piano where the burgers were on instead of a regular tabletop. We had a supermodel, a fairy, and a CGI goat. So all these things were all part of the narrative, and each of those characters, while they were very weird, each of them helped to tell a specific product benefit. So my advice for you is that when you're trying to convince clients to do something strange or different, just saying that it's strange or different isn't enough. You need to convince them of why this is going to lead to more views or why this is going to say their product benefit in a way that's very memorable. And that's something that I really learned from my days working on the other side in the advertising agencies. But always think about your creative from the client's perspective. You're asking them to spend an additional $30,000 or $100,000 to make, you know, a CGI animal. But why are they going to do that? What's going to be the benefit for them? And that's how you guys need to frame that up. When you're doing your own projects, you can put whatever you want in there. Throw in a unicorn and a leprechaun by a rainbow. It doesn't matter. But what you really want to do is when you're with clients, try and convince them and use your sales ability because they trust you. You're the director. You are the director, and they came to you for a reason.
It's a huge responsibility in the in a global work, in a global market work, because
yes, absolutely.
There's another question pinned. How do you convince people? I have some questions I didn't read because there's more light behind you. Feel free, guys, to drop also twice the question, no problem. I try to check all.
How do you convince people whose work you admire to collaborate with you if you're less experienced or have less work that speaks for itself? This is a really, really good question. And it was a problem that I ran into myself when I first started directing. My first series I ever did was a recipe series called Foodfilms. And what we did was I knew that it was my first piece in directing. So we were going to come in and show work that was very different for the food space. So what we did was we recreated recipe videos, reimagined them in the style of a famous director. So I'll give you an example. If Michael Bay directed waffles, or if Michael Bay made waffles, we would have lens flares, explosions, the camera spinning around in 360. And for that project, I reached out to 10 DPs, 10, and only one of them agreed to help me with that. And that was from my friend Allison Davis and John Shafto, who agreed to DP that. Now, I sent a lot of messages. I tried flattery. I tried liking everything on their page. And some people, will not respond to you. And you shouldn't take that personally. Oftentimes when you're reaching out to high profile people or people with a lot of prolific work, you know, the reason they have so much work is because they don't spend a lot of time on social media and they may not even see your message. So, you know, I think that the goal is try and reach out. If they don't respond, try somebody else. There are other collaborators out there. And the trick is finding people who are talented and fit the aesthetic for what you're trying to do, but are also young enough and maybe not as established in their profession where they're still looking at collaborators and appreciating the idea of working with somebody who may not necessarily benefit them a whole lot, but if you demonstrate that benefit to them, there's a lot of weight in that for you.
Absolutely, great reply. There's some question about the robotic arm, how they are influencing your work, if they can give you less creativity or more creativity, and also this one opinion.
Absolutely. So what the robotic arm allows for us to do is when we're shooting high speed, it allows us to be very precise with the movements. And when you're dealing with phantom shoots like we do with Chris V TV, you know, we need the camera to move from here to here in zero point 0.2 seconds. And if it's late, we're going to miss the drop of water coming down, or we're going to miss that beautiful explosion of spices. And for us, and when we have client shoots, we're often doing, I mean, you guys see our BTS videos, but that's usually take 17. You
Yeah,
know, we don't just do it in one take.
yeah.
You know, but you know, it allows us repetition. It allows us the freedom to be very precise with our movements. Now,
And also research on your side specifically, because I watched a lot of tests in your side specifically.
Mhm.
You with some of your restrict collaborators, the scratch ideas, I think, the first rogue
Yeah,
shot, no?
yeah, we experiment a lot. We
Yeah.
experiment a lot, and that's kind of the name of the game is pre-production and putting as much time and thought into what you're
Yeah.
doing as possible.
The huge part, I think, because the final part is so easy to
Yeah.
watch for everyone. But
And just
who
to answer
knows?
that last part of the question, you know, in terms of the humanity being lost, you know, humanity doesn't just come through in camera movements. Humanity comes through in the lighting. It comes through in the performance of your characters. And you shouldn't, while a big robot arm seems somewhat sterile, you know, it's not, if you program it the right way and if you light it the right way and if you tell the right story and have the right music, you know, you can create something truly beautiful that you couldn't have done handheld or without a robot. But as a creative and as a director, you should never rely on technology to be your only facet for creativity. It's just a
The,
method to express. That's it.
this one is one of the experimentation before the. I remember this video.
Oh, this is great. So Brian Hames is one of my riggers that I work with, and this is for our How Quentin Tarantino Makes Spaghetti and Meatballs. It's hard to see here, but basically what we did was it was really important to me that we used a real tomato versus anything CG, especially because we only use real food with a lot of my food clients. And that's a personal preference, not a law. It's just what I prefer. I'd like the challenge in figuring out the mechanics of things. So here we had a Tarantino decapitation of the tomato. So going for that iconic Kill Bill,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
decapitation. But all we did was run plastic tubing through a real tomato, drilled through the bottom of the table, and then pumped red food dye out and shot it at 600 frames per second.
And this is the evolution, the six recipe videos.
Yeah, the 6 second recipe video is another good
Yeah,
one too.
yeah, yeah. Amazing. The best, the
I
best
just
in
saw
my
another
opinion.
question. What do you think during you are recording or directing videos? Really, what is your motivation for enjoy all this? Exactly what do you think of the process of recording? Um, you know, the shooting, getting to set is one of the reasons I love being a director. There's a certain community when you're going through the trenches and you're up for 12 hours trying to make a strawberry spin in slow motion with chocolate radiating out from the sides. And, you know, I think that you have to love the process, whatever it is you do, whether you're a director, whether you're a gaffer, whether you work in film or not, you have to love the process because if you don't, and you're only focused on the end accolades, the awards, or putting something online, you're not going to be happy and fulfilled. Whereas if you enjoy the pitch process, you enjoy drawing storyboards, and you love the craft of thinking, you're always going to be happy and feel fulfilled, whether you know the spot came out exactly as you wanted or if it could have been a little bit better, which happens sometimes.
Absolutely. There's a question also interesting because it's possible to do work like this with less gears, without robotics, without those kind
There's
of
a, yeah,
setups.
this is an
Yeah.
interesting question. So I always hear all the time, like, oh, I can't have a phantom. I don't have a robot. And that was me for my first 2 years of directing. You know, it was really hard for me because I saw a lot of these established directors who are working with big budgets and amazing gear. And my only advice is that, obviously trying to replicate motion control without a bold arm is going to be difficult. But when I look on TikTok and I look on Instagram, I see these young filmmakers in India, in Shanghai, who are, rigging their phone to a string and letting it fly up to replicate the glam bot, because these kids couldn't go to prom or something like that. And for me, that's something that shows me that I want to hire that person, because they didn't have the means to do it, but they went out and found a creative solve. Maybe the end result wasn't as beautiful or as precise as it would have been if they had a robot, but it shows me that they're innovative and they're thinking and they're actively trying to make their way using other methods. And that's a really important thing, is you have to be a bit of a MacGyver, and you have to use what you have around you, which in the beginning for me was a Canon 5D, which, it's a photo camera, but we still shot an Iron Man cooking video. I emailed a guy in China and had him build a replica Iron Man arm. And, we use that as props. So, and what happens is when you put out an idea that is conceptually good, people can see that, and they can see that if you had a budget, you could do that much better. And that's the way that you can get to getting bigger budgets, is you need to demonstrate that you have the brains for it and you have the know-how. So what I would say is to anyone who's questioning how to get bigger jobs, go out and shoot the thing that should feel like that, and those jobs will come. But you've got to put the time in and invest that money, those hours, those resources. And don't be afraid to ask for help. And I said this at the beginning of my live, but I wish I could have done 10 people with me here, because I have such a core crew of people that cumulatively come together to make what you guys see on these screens.
Yeah, it's a family. It become a family, but I agree.
Yeah, we fight like them too, which is great.
Yeah, 100% I agree, because every day I receive tons of messages. I don't have this. I don't live there. Always focused on what they don't have. People have to focus on what they have, start doing things, start creating the good connection, because the good connection makes the difference. So there's another question, Pin. What do you think during you are recording or directing videos? Really, what is your motivation for enjoy all of this?
Oh yeah, we covered that one. I think that the goal is to get to set, and in order to get to shooting on set, you've got to create the vision. So, my motivation for all that stuff is digging into the process of filmmaking and getting excited and drawing the storyboards and figuring out what the story is that we're going to tell. Okay,
I pinned another one. Yep. If you can read yourself, I try to check others, because
really, what is the first thing you do when filming? Do you first think of camera angles? Do you plan it first? Trial and error? It's a little bit of all of those things. I'm very close with my director of photography. Whenever we're working together, he's coming in very early in the process. I'm talking to him like, I want to do this crazy move where, we have something like the like a strawberry spinning like that top from Inception, and that was a case where we didn't know how to rig it, and we maybe go CGI, but we didn't have the money for that because I was self-funding the shoot. So I was talking to our phantom technician, Chris Vanderschaft, Chris VTV, and he says, well, we could just drill under the table, drill through the table, and then put a strawberry on top, and then we could spin it and it should work. And I was like, maybe, that sounds pretty good. And then 10 minutes later, Chris sends me a video. He drilled through his kitchen table, put the strawberry on, and showed me this. And I thought, wow, Chris, like that is the reason why Chris V is such an asset. He is not just a phantom technician. He thinks like a rigger. He thinks like a DP. He thinks like a creative. And that's why I'm saying is, be very careful in the people that you surround yourself with, because they are the reputation of your work and of you as a director and as a creator. It's very important, and it's intimidating to surround yourself with people who might know more than you, but that is literally the only way that you're going to learn and to be pushed beyond your comfort zone. And the other thing I would say is follow a lot of film blogs. Like when I got on Filmmakersworld, when I first discovered you guys, I was looking at all these interesting BTS setups and thinking, that's really cool. And maybe if it was a rig for a car, what's the smaller version of that for food where we could do it on tabletop? So, look for things and see what people are doing and see how you can give your own spin to that.
Yeah, we also do a lot of research to provide the best experience here, to create inspiration for everyone. This is
Absolutely.
our big dream.
Yeah.
I'm searching the strawberry,
What
but
is your favorite
now
food?
it's
Oh,
crazy.
hey, Rebecca. That's my friend Rebecca. What is your favorite food to work with? Anything aesthetically you prefer? Fruits, veggies. Hmm. I think in general I like the challenge of having to do fast food or doing things that are kind of organic cooking, because they're two very different animals. And I like foods with a lot of vibrance, but when I go back to fast food, the challenge with that is there's such a notion that fast food looks like shit or that it doesn't look appetizing. And if you can take something that is typically very hard to create appetite appeal for, I like the challenge of that.
Okay, I'm pinning just now another one.
Oh, we know sounds like Matt.
Okay,
Guys, Sounds
this
Like
was
Matt is our sound designer, by the way. You guys should check him out at Sounds Like Matt. It's on the most recent post from Filmmakersworld, but any of the sound design that you hear in my films comes from Matt. He creates original Foley sounds and then warps them into slow motion mode. A real talent, and if you guys need post production, he is the guy for sound. Anyways, I'm
also,
sorry.
also my kid appreciates the sound design. Do you remember that reaction of my kid?
Oh yeah, that's right. I loved when your kid watched that. That was awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it
that was
was
really
amazing.
cool. My first fan in Italy.
There's another one pinned question about the artist challenge and the
Hmm.
artist artistic choice.
Um, Hardest artistic challenge. I think I can't think of one in particular, but I would say that in general, whenever we're making commercials, there's always this balance between art and commercial. And, I've always billed myself as a commercial artist because I enjoy the challenge of showing a brand or a logo or a pack shot or a bite and smile. These are all kind of tabletop industry terms, but in a way that feels like a video that you're just watching and not like an ad that you're watching. And I think that it's always a constant battle because we're trying to make things that look beautiful and tell this beautiful narrative, but clients also have an objective, which is to sell more product and to get across their advertising needs. So I think that for me as a commercial director, I'm always battling how much do we show of the brand versus how much do we show of the beauty. It's brand versus
Yeah.
beauty. And ideally, you create a world in which that the brand and beauty has a Venn diagram and it lives together. And it can be done. It just takes convincing of the clients and the agencies, but and then also a lot of work on your end to figure out a way that achieves both of those things from a composition standpoint, from a VO script standpoint, all those things.
There's another one question. Sometimes in a video, I like to make the audience looks confused by messing with the shot and sequence. Do you like for your sequence to be connected with transition or be fast cuts with different shots?
All right, Ian, that's a good question. First of all, I like that you like to mess with the audience. I think that that's a very, very key part of Ian's question. Anytime you can, and I'll get to your question in a second, Ian, but anytime you can take something that people are used to seeing and flip it around so that they're very confused or that it throws them off a little bit and introduces them to a new way of doing it, that's a good thing. However, you need to have some basis of familiarity or else it's going to be too foreign to them and they won't engage or watch with your video. So it's about taking what an audience knows and getting that base established and then surprising them and taking them off in a way that they may have thought we're going to go from point A to point B to point C. You can start at point A so that they're familiar, but then zigzag off and go in a different direction to get to Z at the end. And then the second part of that question, I forgot what it was. I'm sorry, but
Oh, so,
it already left. I'm sorry, I forgot. What
yeah,
hair?
I'm trying to select, but are
This
really
is a good
many.
question.
So
from my friend Jonathan. What hair product do you use? It's flaw. Thank you, Jonathan.
Funny
I can't
time.
say that on
Yes.
Instagram or else everyone's gonna know. But it is a hair wax from Japan that I discovered while I was shooting there. So if you make it to Japan, text me and I'll tell you where to get it.
Let's talking about this specific work. I remember you used some crazy ideas in this work to
Yes.
keep the yeah.
Yeah, so when DiGiorno came to me, they wanted to do a pizza commercial, but they knew that they wanted to make it kind of in the style of what I do. So I like to add a little bit of comedy in there. And, one of the ideas we had was that this is the extra cheesy DiGiorno. Um, so what are the cheesiest things you can think of? Well, a boy band. You guys can't hear the sound right now, but if you go to my page after this, you'll be able to hear basically, the voiceover says, "How cheesy is new DiGiorno pizza?"
Yeah,
Well, it's cheesier than a '90s boy band. And as we cut to the oven and we see the pizza coming up, that could have been a very classic pizza shot. That could have just been the pizza bubbling on the rack, just sitting there. But instead, we built a custom oven with lights in the background, a fog machine, and a rising stage grate because I wanted to make it feel like Justin Bieber was coming up in a pop concert. And what we did with that, that for me that was really exciting was we took a very generic pizza commercial and made it really interesting and funny. We had a company in Shanghai write a full boy band song about cheese and pizza. And it was just a really fun shoot. We treated like a music video where we had playback on set, and it was just an interesting thing to do.
okay. I am showing again another shot, and let's talking about one of the latest work about lace. You created
Yeah, yeah.
different cut for different kind of
Yeah, this was what you're seeing here is the opening shot of the Lay's commercial. So our agency with this BBDO was so great to work with. The creatives, Mike and Sarah, were just awesome to work with, and they really had a lot of trust with me. And what Mike said to me was that we need to find a really interesting way to show the bag in the first 3 seconds, but we don't want it to feel like a boring product shot. And so I looked at a lot of snack commercials and consumer packaged good commercials. And it was always where, you know, it's just sitting on the countertop and then a hand reaches in and grabs a chip and then you go into the commercial. But I didn't want to start in that generic land. So what I came up with was this action hero fall. And I was really inspired because I was watching John Wick and or John Wick 2 or something. But basically, there's a lot of movements where when a person gets shot, they kind of fly off. And do this kind of stuntman fall. And I wanted to create a really dynamic opening, but not do it with CGI. I wanted it to be real and practical. So we came up with this move where the camera would follow up to the bag and then it would fly back like a stuntman and fall over. And what you see in that first clip is Steve Starkman, who was our rigger there. And he was basically on a puppeteering arm doing that. And he must have done it 100 times that day. We did so many falls with the chip bag, but that was kind of the common theme throughout that set of commercials. And yes, Mohammed, John Wick for commercial, exactly. What I would say is that where I differ a little bit from some other filmmakers is that I have such a wide range of films that I like to enjoy, and some of them people would say they're shitty movies, and I have no shame about that. I think that if everybody pulls inspiration from the same films, our work will all feel similar. So if we're able to draw inspiration from a movie from like John Wick for a food commercial, that way you're showing something that's very different and people aren't used to seeing. So don't feel like embarrassed about the things you watch. The things that you watch are the things that you love, and those are the things that you're going to pull from as a creative yourself. So if you like, Marvel movies, make stuff that feels like Marvel movies with your own style to it. But don't feel like you have to do, Oscar winning movies. Like, don't feel like everything has to feel like Parasite or everything has to feel like 1917. Everything should feel, all those films won Oscars because they felt like nothing that had been done before.
absolutely.
Sharknado rocks, Alex. I agree.
I pinned one, but I don't. don't understand perfectly the question, honestly.
Do you think the gear that we got right now with all the camera resolution and gimbals making the film looks very fake? I'm not, do you think the gear that we have right now? Oh, so are you Ian, are you speaking about the Lay's commercial that we're watching right now?
I think, yeah, but honestly, I don't understand exactly the
I
meaning.
think he's saying that with the camera resolution and the gear, it's so high quality that it's making it look fake. Good problem to have. I don't know. Can't answer that for you, Ian. Sorry. Um,
No problem. Name a time when your patent was tested.
oh,
Some,
this is a very good question. And this is
yeah,
something that I'm going to answer this as a director, but also as a person on set, whatever role you have. Never freak out on set. And my mentality is, as the director, I need to be completely in control and calm because everything starts at the top. The director is here. And if the director is running around freaking out, it doesn't help anybody else to have that happen. So you need to be a leader. You need to know that worrying about it isn't going to fix the problem that's right in front of you. You need to stop, break, go to your DP, go to your AD, go to the and pull in the department head if it's a food styling issue, if it's a rigging issue. Find the department heads, come together, stop shooting, figure out a course of action, and then keep going. There's just no time to freak out. That's all there is. And as you do more films and you get on more sets, you will encounter crazy shit that you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe that that actually happened. But we got through it and we figured it out. So as more things happen, you start to think, well, I'm okay. Like we've been through this before.
okay. I was
M
unread, I agree.
MSG
What,
Misha, what is the
what
best
is
way
the
to
best
shoot
way?
melted cheese? Is it real? Yes, the cheese is real. We do not use Elmer's glue. Um, the best way if you're looking for a cheese pull, the best way you can get if you're looking for a cheese pull is to buy a little Home Depot heat gun. You can find these at any hardware store. This heat gun is very important. After we bake the pizza, we cut it up and then we sprinkle cheese on top for a second layer. And then we use the heat gun to melt that cheese. And then that's why when you lift up, the cheese looks gooey and perfect, or when you split.
Okay, okay. There's another question,
Hey,
P.
sorry, man.
Now.
Can I say one thing real quick? We have Stuff Ben Eats in the chat here. Stuff Ben Eats. He's one of my BTS photographers, and I just wanted to give him a quick shout out because all the photos that you guys are seeing of me on set have all been taken by Ben. He's a true talent and someone I always have on set to capture our behind the scenes action and all that. But I just wanted to shout him out real quick.
So another one. This is one of the most question ever. Film school or not, we receive every day, and in this case, people that ask,
Yeah.
prefer school, book,
Look,
or experience.
I have
Yeah.
so much respect for anyone who's gone to film school and people who are in it right now or thinking about going to it. You know, it's definitely one path to go. For me, you know, I felt that I didn't have the patience to go to film school right now, and I just wanted to get out and shoot some stuff. Now, by doing that, I definitely didn't, how do you say? I definitely didn't learn a lot of the technical and the camera stuff that, you know, my DPs know, but that's why I have DPs, is because I'm not a director DP. I consider my strengths as being a creative, as conceptual understanding, and being a leader, and being able to communicate and work across departments to come out with one final vision. Um, if you're not going to go to film school, my advice would be to shoot as much as you can. If you're not putting in 40 hours a week at school in class, you sure as hell better be shooting and editing for 40 hours a week when you're not in school. So to give you an example, when I was working at my full-time job, which was a 60, 70 hour a week job, I would go home and shoot from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. every night because I wanted to learn film. I wanted to learn how to get out of the job that I was in. And if you don't go home and do that stuff and put the hours in, it won't happen. It's not enough just to DM people on Instagram or to put up a viral video and hope that, you know, you'll get jobs. You've got to have the work to back it up. And the only way to build the reel and to better your aesthetic is to shoot, 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 shoot. But as you're shooting, try and look. Don't just shoot blindlessly. Have intention. Look at look at your last shot and what you didn't like about it, and figure out how to fix that shot.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry, I just saw one
I,
quick question from So Hype. This person said, "LOL, I'm a photographer and I photograph with my phone and nothing else." That was me 4 years ago. Same thing. It's okay. Just be creative and figure out concepts, and then start learning. If you have a friend you can borrow a camera from, start learning DSLR. Just do it in steps, whatever works for you.
there's other question about how to start. We already talked about this, but for those who have to start a business, which do you suggest? Which budget? Which the first step you suggest to move?
$1 million. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea. I never started my own business. I just work as a freelance director, so I don't really have any info for you as far as starting a production company. But send me a DM after, and I'd be happy to put you in touch with somebody after. And that goes for anybody else here too. You know, there's a lot of questions coming in, and if your question didn't get answered, please do send me a message on Instagram or on TikTok. I check my DMs. I'm happy to answer questions because I never had anybody answering these questions for me when I was starting out as a filmmaker.
Amazing. There's another question about there's any video course or book you recommend? You recommend some also books to take inspiration? Some
You know, I watched a few of the master classes with, you know, Ron Howard teaches directing, or Martin Scorsese teaches directing or screenwriting, and you know, they were helpful. But to be honest, my biggest learning has been on set. It's where you learn. And whether you've been doing this job for 1 month or, you know, 25 years, you're learning shit on set somehow.
when you filmed the camera shot, did you damage the camera? Let's
We
talking
did
about
not. We did not. The lens we were shooting on is called a probe lens, so it's actually waterproof. You can get liquids on it. You know, that shot wasn't my favorite as it came out, and I saw a lot of you guys in the comments were like, "We don't really like the final shot." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, neither do I." But it was a fun thing to experiment with. It was my first time shooting with the probe lens, and I really enjoyed the process of it. And what I would say to you guys as a learning example from that is, even if your final film doesn't come out the way you want it to, there is value in working with new equipment and pushing yourself outside of comfort zones. Like now we use probe lenses all the time, and we know all the issues that go into it and timing and all those things. And those mistakes aren't made again. But we wouldn't have discovered that if we didn't fuck around and fuck up. So go ahead and mess up sometimes. It's all right.
let's talking about some funny moment on set. The best
Funny
funny
moments on
moment.
set. Oh man. That tomato shot that you guys saw with the Tarantino tomato. Um, I Our hand model was afraid to cut the tomato, so we actually had to paint my nails red, and I'm actually the hand chopping that tomato off. That's a fun story, and it was 3 in the morning. But that's all I got for you guys right now.
Yeah. So other question, other question.
Hey guys, so I'm seeing a lot of questions about money here, about like how much do you make as a director? Can you pay the bills in USA as a freelance director? And the answer to that, you know, I mean, it's a very complex question because everybody makes different amounts as a director. Everybody works at different rates. What I would more urge you to think about is not, if you're trying to figure out how much money can I make as a director, you won't last very long as a director, because I will tell you guys, in my first 2 years as a director, I barely made any money. I was putting every paycheck that I got as a director for commercials back into my films. And just so you know, I've made 3 films that cost $25,000 each and got barely any views and were failures. So yeah, you need to fuck up. You need to mess up. You need to go through the process of writing scripts and having something not come out the way you wanted, because I promise you, you will not make that mistake again after you've wasted $10,000 on something, or $1,000 or $100. Everything's relative.
I I would love to know more about the emotion at the end of a project, of a long
Oh,
project.
yeah. So I've said this to my DP, John, before, but I'm always sad when a production is over. And the reason for that is you've spent a month on the phone with these people, planning, figuring things out, yelling, screaming, laughing. You get to set and you're on set for 12 hours a day and you're eating together, you're waking up together, you're in the trenches trying to make a potato chip float in a 360 motion that won't do it the right way. And you figure things out together. And it's a sad time when the shoot's over, but it's also a moment of relief because you've been going nonstop for weeks trying to make this vision. And usually we know pretty well when we're walking off set if it was a good shoot or not. But whether it's a good shoot or a bad shoot, I'm always, a little bit bummed because, I love making friends with the people that I work with and staying in touch. And the people that you'll stay in touch with are the ones that you'll keep hiring. So my biggest advice also for that is, whether you're in a position of an assistant director or you're a PA, just have a good attitude. That's the way to get asked back, to be smart, do what you're asked, and to have a really good attitude. And if you're enjoyable to work with and you handle your work, people are going to come back to you for more work. And that's whether you're a director all the way down to a PA.
Absolutely. Is it important to get a special effect like tomatoes shot in every video?
For me, it is, Ian. I enjoy having the challenge of building rigs that have something different to them, like where someone, I always get this on my TikTok. People always go, you could have done it cheaper and easier in CGI. Well, yeah, but easier doesn't mean better. Just because we can do it that way, and just because every other director's done it in CGI, doesn't mean we should do it in CGI. Yeah, I would just say that I don't have a checklist as far as I need one crazy rig in here. I just have shots in my mind that come out and require rigs. I don't base it, that's kind of reversed. So I would base it on the creative first.
Nothing like
From
working with your office.
That's right, Chris. Potato gang.
So
Oh, we got Rich in the chat. I would clean the toilets if that's what it took to be on the same set. Oh man, you can come by and hang anytime. We're not gonna make you clean toilets.
There's one that's asking, do you have any plan of teaching commercial advertising or masterclass?
Is there any interest for that one day? Maybe. No, right now I almost feel like I'm a bit of a student myself. And I've done a couple master classes with Microsoft, where we did some keynote speeches where I spoke about how to be creative, how to be kind of scrappier with your equipment, and how to leverage social media to further your career. And that's one of the topics that I want to get into later in this chat. Is so much of my success, or not so much, but a good portion of my success has come from the amount of time that I put in building a brand that exists as a director, but also online. And it's a very careful line to toe, because a lot of people put way too much time into social media and not enough time on their craft. But there's a world in which those two things can help each other and benefit each other.
Beautiful, beautiful wrap up. Yes, please, a masterclass, another one.
All right, Kay, we will do the masterclass with Filmmakersworld soon. We'll have to do it when Chris V, TV, and I are in the same room so we can do some cool slow motion demos for you guys. The dog is not a gaffer. He's if he was to be anybody on set, he'd be the AD because he's barking at everyone.
Yeah, I'm checking other question in the sticker. How do you picture in picture? But most of us, what about technology? We will go in depth with Chris V, 7 June. Save the date. We will go in depth in the technical side more. I read also other question about difference, problems. We will talk more about slow motion, robots, This is the topic of the specialist Chris V.
The dog
Okay,
is CGI. Look how realistic he is. Woo!
what is a good way to experiment creative angles?
What
Last
is a good
raffle
way
of
to...
question,
Okay, so
guys.
yeah, let me give you guys a little bit of process there. So if I have to direct a pizza commercial, the first thing I do is I go out and I watch every pizza commercial that's ever been shot. I try to understand what it is they do that works and what they do that doesn't work that I don't like. And then what I do is I start writing my script based after I have the knowledge and the research of what's coming. Or sorry, as soon as I have the knowledge and the research for what that field looks like, so I can then go in the opposite way, but still, like I said earlier, understand the workings of how something goes.
Okay. Do you think it's important to know about writing concepts as director, or it's a different road?
I think it depends what kind of director you want to be. You know, I don't think every director looks for narrative. Not every director has concept. You know, and sometimes the word concept has a very broad definition depending on what you believe to be a concept. Um, but to answer the question, you know, I think that you should see what works best for you. When you watch a film, do you think about the plot and the narrator, and I'm sorry, the narrative and the characters in it, or are you in it for more the abstract cinematography of it? And that just is a personal style. And what I would say for UK is you should look at the things that you watch and the creators who made them, and look at what kind of creatives they are, and then make that decision for yourself.
Okay, okay. Last raffle of question, guys. We have few minutes yet. At 60 minutes, the live ends the limit of Instagram. It's really a cool chat, David. I'm so happy to have you today here. We replied a lot of questions,
Yes,
and
thank you.
I'm seeing similar question about the okay, guys, about the live. It's so easy. If you use iPhone, it's simply a live with two people, one top, one bottom, guys. No problem. We will talking on this in another one live. No problem.
Hey guys,
A
look, it's a
friend
tree.
at home, beautiful.
Do you guys want to meet our production designer, Isabel? She's right here.
Yeah. Hello, hello.
We're actually doing a shoot here tomorrow, and she'll be production designing. So
Can you anticipate something about your upcoming project?
I can't speak too much about it, but all I can say is that in a month, you all will get to see something very exciting. At the end of June, you will see something very exciting. So hit the follow button. Come say hi to me on DMs. Let's hang out. Let's be friends. And yeah, we'll have something exciting for you guys in about a month from now.
Have you planned a feature film in the future? I read also before some
Yeah,
question how to switch in
absolutely.
feature.
Yeah, that is the goal. And to be honest, how to do it, I'm still figuring that out. So maybe on the next live, I'll have an answer for you. But in the meantime, you know, I've been actively writing stories. What is a story that I want to tell? Because at the end of the day, you know, aside from the actors you have or the budgets you have, you need a core good story. And then from there, you know, you can start looking to write your screenplay and then getting financing or financing it yourself. But my biggest advice is find a story and a unique way to tell that story.
Okay, there's another one about water. Can you give any tips with working with water, like adding sugar, salt?
Sure. Fish tanks are very good. You guys have seen this on Chris V TV's page before, but he does a lot of cool oil and water ink injections. We're using a fish tank on our shoot tomorrow to do some cool underwater shots. But you know, I think that a TikTok is a great place to discover how things look and for testing. And I just joined TikTok a few weeks ago, and it's really fun. You know, there's a lot of people who are doing cool things with sand and, you know, fire and water, and that's where you guys should draw your inspiration from. Is like I watch a lot of sixth grade, middle school science videos because I like the way you can make nitrogen bubbles out of dry ice. And that's something we used on one of our shoots that you were playing earlier at the beginning. Um, so my advice for that is to be curious, because the best thing you can do, if all you watch are movies, your stuff will feel like other movies. But if you bring in life experiences and things that aren't directly related to Hollywood or to filmmaking, your filmmaking will have a different approach to it. And that's why I never felt intimidated by not going to film school, because I was going to come at directing from a very different lens, from a very different perspective. And some people would say that would hurt you, but I've always looked at that as a strength. And I think that that's something important, is everybody has their own path. So whatever your path is, own that path, be proud of that path, and utilize every asset that you have that film school doesn't have, because you're going to have advantages that film school kids won't, and vice versa. They're going to have advantages that you won't. So it's about maximizing your environment and the people around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree 100%. How do you stick to your movie while directing? Because being a director sometimes is too dynamic with what you want at the end.
What? let's try another one.
Complicated question.
Yeah, let's try another one. Can somebody ask about my hair again or something? That'd be easier.
Yeah. Yeah. We are
So
also.
I see one from Alex, Alex Newsom. He says, is there one film or one scene that you have seen that you would most like to do in that vein? Well, actually, in the next few months, we'll be flying to Amsterdam once COVID is over to be shooting our second season of Foodfilms, that recipe video series in the style of directors that I mentioned at the beginning. We're going to be doing that with our friends at Chuck Studios. They're a production company who you guys are very familiar with on Filmmakersworld. They're one of my favorite tabletop production companies to work with, Olaf and Elise from Amsterdam and LA. But we're going to be doing Inception, and this is, you see at the beginning that strawberry is our preview for that. But we'll be doing a few films, like 2001 Space Odyssey will be being made into a food film. We'll be doing Mad Max as well as Inception. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of iconic scenes that are going to be coming your way. Very
Can't
excited to
wait.
get shooting on that. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, guys.
We have less than a minute.
Less than a
I
minute.
would love to. Thanks for watching to everyone. Thanks so much, David. It's
Guys,
really
thank you
a
so much for
pleasure.
all the questions and tuning in. I've never done anything like this before. It was my first time, so I really appreciate everybody who tuned in, and I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you guys further in DMs and on my, like, write on my post if you guys want. That's the fastest way for me to see your message. Just write a comment right there and I'll say hi.
So guys, thanks again so much. Stay tuned. 7th of June, we will have also Chris B. So
Woo,
thanks
Chris B.
again so much. And yeah, in a couple of days, this video it's on the YouTube channel, link in
Absolutely.
bio. So stay tuned for that.
All right, guys. Thank you very
My
much.
man,
Take
thanks
care.
so much again.
All right.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao. Ciao, Bella.